So I wrote like 6 different scripts for this video, and this is my third time filming, and I was trying to be all like optimistic and peppy, and just nothing was working out. So I think I'm just gonna talk and we'll see what happens. Maybe it'll be good enough to actually put up this time. So I'm pregnant, and it's been a rough year. That's kind of the summary. Let's see. So, way back in January, we were family planning, and I was going to start trying to get pregnant sometime in the summer. However, I've had wonky cycles for forever, and I was anticipating fertility issues for a couple of other reasons. So, basically, I was just hoping to get pregnant by the end of the year, 2024. But it was still hopefully going to be in the near future, so I was planning my year accordingly. And maybe I had already been starting to get burnt out, but I completely lost motivation because the core tenets of this channel have been sewing my own daily wardrobe and sewing costumes. And I was trying to basically prove that in this day and age, yes, you can still sew your own wardrobe from scratch. And maybe it won't be cheap or fast, like fast fashion, but it can still be worth it because the clothes can be so much better than what is even available to buy. That was kind of, what I have built everything on. And I've been trying for the last 5 years to get to a point of having a completely handmade wardrobe. And last year is the year that I finally felt like I had started to accomplish that goal. It shouldn't have taken 5 years, but I am a distractible person and I kept getting sidetracked with other interesting ideas for projects. But last year, especially over the summer, I was wearing almost a completely handmade outfit every single day. And then in the winter, it wasn't quite, but it was close enough. Like I was happy, I was actually content with my wardrobe. Like who would have thought that was possible? So basically, I just didn't want to make myself clothes anymore because of that reason, but also because it felt completely pointless. Because it's like, well, my body's about to start changing and I have no way of knowing where it's going to end up. And, we're planning on having multiple kids. So this could be an ongoing thing for up to the next decade. And and then that same goes for costumes. Like, if I'm not going to make my own daily wear clothes, like, why would I be investing hundreds of dollars into costumes that I might never get to wear? So I was very, very not motivated to sew anything. So, in light of that, I had decided to spend the winter just catching up on old footage and making videos on old projects. And I only got one of those videos done before I just kind of fell off a cliff again. The next thing I was interested in was the idea of making doll costumes. I had been following some people on Instagram who make really, really amazing period accurate doll clothes. And I was just like, I don't know, it felt like more worthwhile than making costumes for myself because then I could sell some things or I could keep some things, and then that's something that I could share with my children. Much more so than just costumes for myself hanging in a closet. So I started working on a project for that. I had 2 yards of the reproduction tartan from the Isabella McTavish Fraser wedding dress, and I don't know why I bought 2 yards, but that would never have been enough to make a full-size dress out of anyways. But I ended up being able to make 4 doll dresses out of that, one of which I'll keep, and the others I'll get around to selling eventually. And that was a really fun project. That was very refreshing, and it was like, it hit my costuming itch, but kind of in a better way. It's like I don't need to wear the costumes. I love reproduction costumes, whether that is historical or movie set costumes. I don't need to make my own thing from scratch. I just love figuring out the details and the patterns and the colors of other things and then replicating that. That's just what I like doing. However, I don't need to do that on my body to be satisfied, if that makes sense. And making it in doll form, it's like, I don't know, it was just, it hit that itch. However, I did not quite finish that project before I started getting ridiculously tired out of nowhere. Like, every day, I could barely get anything done. So then I finally finished those, and I was going to start, I was working on something else. I don't even remember now. And I finally took a pregnancy test, and sure enough, there it is. So I turned 30 recently, and my 20s were great. Like, I don't feel like I wasted my 20s. I feel like I am very lucky in how much I got to do, how many places I got to see in my early 20s, everything I was able to do with this channel in my second half of the 20s. Like I feel good about my 20s, but it's a new stage of life. Like motherhood does change everything, especially considering that um, I'm not planning on putting the kids in daycare. That's a thing Caleb and I agree on. I am planning to still work, but the kids are going to be my, priority. And so it's just a major life change, from the freedom of just being able to wake up and do whatever I want and work on whatever project I want to work on. And you know, it's a completely different lifestyle when all of a sudden you have dependents who you have to, you know, my life is not going to be about me anymore. And I'm okay with that. Like made peace with that over, the early part of this year, or at least I thought I had made peace with that. As it turns out, I still had a little bit more peacemaking to do. So, yeah, I got pregnant unexpectedly. It was early March. I was not prepared for pregnancy. I thought I was not. I thought that pregnancy basically didn't affect your life until the third trimester, except that you might throw up a few times. So watch out for that. But as long as you don't throw up, you should be fine, right? That's not how it's worked out. The fatigue has been absolutely insane. Like, there was one Saturday, I just slept the whole day long. And Caleb was kind of freaked out because he's like, "You're going to be awake all night if you don't get up. You can't keep napping." I'm like, "No, you don't understand. I'm going to sleep all night too." The nausea was bad, but it wasn't as bad as some people I've known. So I was like, it's more that I was surprised by even not being that bad how bad it was, if that makes sense. Like, Michaela just had her baby and she threw up every single day for 7 months straight. And I'm like, okay, well, as long as I can avoid that, I'll be fine, right? And it's just, I did not have a grid for how miserable it was going to be, even if I wasn't throwing up every single day. And then it's like, everybody's like, oh, the second trimester is the golden trimester or something. And I'm like, really? Because it doesn't feel much better. But yeah, beyond the physical, for me, it's mostly been the mental and emotional stuff. And my mom was like, oh, so you mean the pregnancy hormones, everything's going up and down? And I'm like, yeah. And I was thinking about it, I'm like, no, that's not it. It's all just down. So that's kind of just, I guess, a broad summary of what all has been going on. There have been a lot of issues related to the pregnancy, financial stressors, mistakes I made that, for example, the health insurance, I screwed it up. I was planning to get pregnant this summer. So in February, I got on for maternity coverage, and then I got pregnant in March. So I missed the cutoff date for them to cover it by a week. And then I called them in to be like, okay, I don't know what to do now. And they were like, oh, well, we might be able to give you a one-time exception. So yeah, it's been this months-long process to get all that paperwork turned in and to find out the final answer of whether or not they're going to cover it. And basically, the baby is large. So when I went in the first time, they're like, that date can't possibly be right. The baby's too big for that. So we bumped it back by another week, which means that I missed the cutoff date by 2 weeks now. And even with that, even though I'm sure that the conception date couldn't have been earlier than that, they're still oh, it's in the 95th percentile baby. I'm like, okay, great. So yeah, I don't even know if that's going to be covered. Currently, we've just been paying. So there's financial stressors, there are relationship stressors, there are things completely unrelated to the pregnancy. For example, we have had chickens dying all summer long, and we only just found out what the problem is. It's a fox. We caught it in action, and we still have not figured out how to deal with that. So yeah, we're down by 2/3, including we lost all of the babies that we raised this year. So, but yeah, so it's just been a rough year. It's been so much. However, I am now at 22 weeks. It's a boy, in case you're wondering. And basically, I don't have the option to stay in this slump anymore. I have got to get back to work in whatever form that can or might take. So I finally had an idea, like just yesterday, of what I might be able to do, which is instead of focusing on one project at a time, instead of doing that, I could make more blog style videos of just all of the different baby projects of things that I would like to make that I'm running out of time to make. There's a whole list of things that I would like to sew, both baby clothing and nursery items. There are baby clothes that I want to knit. I learned how to knit last fall, and I've been having fun with that. There is a big, beautiful mural that I'm planning for the nursery that I really need to start on, but I'm super duper intimidated. So there's just like a variety of things that I want to be making that I think more of a vlog style video format would be able to cover better. So I have a lot of feelings about Patreon right now. On the one hand, I am intensely grateful because that is the only way that I have been able to pay my bills at this point in time. And right now, my Patreon income is entirely going to the medical bill. So I'm very, very grateful for that. However, I also feel like absolute crap about myself because I've been completely unable to fulfill any of the like Patreon tier promises. I think what I'm going to need to do about that, because I can't afford to not have Patreon, is I think I'm just going to redo the tiers and take out all of the promises that I don't think I'm capable of fulfilling, and I'll pin a post at the top of the page being like, I'm in a different stage right now, and if you are here, it is only to support me. Like, it's not, there's not much even exchange of goods right now. I think that is a way I could do things that I would feel less like trash about. So that's one element. If you'd like to see my baby knitting projects, I made a little pair of joggers. These are out of alpaca wool, and I stitched them with size 2 needles, so they are very, very dense, which is good because he'll be a winter baby. I'm doing late November. And also, I'm hoping that I'll be able to use these as wool diaper covers, but if not, they're still cute pants, and they're very, very soft. The next thing I made, I made a little hat. However, the first one, I followed the pattern exactly, and it came out to the finished measurements of what the pattern said it should for 1 to 3 month baby. And then I tried it on my niece Holly, who is just now 3 months and a very tiny baby, and it did not fit her at all. It was tiny, tiny. That thing maybe barely would have fit her as an infant. And so I took that one apart and I remade it, and now it's absolutely massive. It fits me. So what I think I'm going to do is, I don't feel like making this a third time, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to get more of the yarn, and then I'm going to start to like add on length. And so instead of a little cap, it'll be more like a hooded little capelet. So that'll be cute. Maybe I'll make another one that's actually the right size in a different color of yarn. So those are the things I've made so far, which is only starting to scratch the surface of my list. I'm really enjoying the knitting. I don't know how to make knitting videos though. That's another reason why the blog format might work better for now. So yeah, it's just, it's been a rough year. It's been a very rough year mentally. And I don't really know what the future holds. I wanted to have 4 kids in 10 years. That was my plan. And I don't know how many times I'm going to be able to do this. Just like the mental crap alone. And I don't even have a kid to take care of yet, I can't imagine doing this on top of taking care of 2 toddlers. Making clothing for myself right now, I've just completely taken off the table. I put too much pressure on myself to try and make everything for the sake of proving a point to the internet, and I can't do that anymore. I don't have the mental capacity to do that anymore. So I just went out and I bought like 4 dresses, and then I went thrifting and I found 4 more, just basic loose fitting maternity dresses. Maybe at some point I had thought about doing a maternity wardrobe, And maybe I would have done that to some extent if I had had better planning time. But as it was, I just all of a sudden couldn't stand to wear any of my previous clothing. Like, I just couldn't stand to wear anything tightly fitted. So I just bought all of these, baggy things, and they will work for now. All I feel like making is baby stuff, obviously. As far as costuming goes, I would like to get back into the whole doll clothing idea. I think that that could be really fun. However, right now it's not a priority. So I guess that's just it. I don't know what the future holds. I've been gone for a while, but I'm trying to get myself back on, you know, back in the swing of things, while I still have time. After the baby's born, things are going to change completely again, and I have no idea what that's going to look like. I was going back and forth on something for a while and not sure whether or not it was appropriate. But right now, I don't feel like I have the mental capacity to plan a baby shower. So I'm just going to link in the description my registry list, and it's not an obligation. It's not a begging thing. It's we can make do with very little if we need to. But if you want to check it out, that would be very nice. There are silver linings in everything, and I guess you could call it blessing. You could call it whatever you want. But one of the things that I was hoping to do with this last year before we started having kids is I wanted to finally save up and buy an embroidery machine and learn how to use it. However, that was, something I'm like, all right, that's completely off the table now. I don't know when, if ever, I'm going to actually be able to do that. I hadn't been garage sailing in forever because I didn't really need anything, but then we were garage sailing looking for baby clothes, and I found an actual, pretty nice embroidery machine. It's not top of the line, but it's not a beginner either. It's a nice mid-tier embroidery machine, and I got it for $150. So I haven't really dug into it yet. I haven't started trying to figure out how to use it yet, but maybe I'll be able to do that in a video. But I don't know, it felt like kind of like not a consolation prize, but I don't like using biblical talk very often, but it kind of felt like a God thing. So yeah. Oh, I guess I ought to say, I'm really grateful to be pregnant. I'm grateful that I'm healthy. I'm grateful that the baby looks like everything's healthy so far. I'm grateful that I didn't have fertility issues like I expected, and one of the things that's making me feel crappy about myself is that I'm not as happy as I feel like I should be. Because yeah, this is what I wanted. I wanted to get married and have kids someday, and I thought that that was never going to happen. And then, it finally happened, and now I'm here, and I don't understand. I think I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to do it as well as I always thought that I would. I just turned in our taxes, in July. I've been just so behind on everything. I have been so unable to cope with anything. And that's pretty terrifying because it's I want to be a great mom. I want to have multiple kids. I want to be able to homeschool. I want to be able to keep working and making videos and making projects and doing the things that I love too. And I want to be here for Caleb. I won't want to, leave him out in the dirt while I'm dealing with my own crap all the time. I think that's a big thing of what's bothering me so much is I just thought that I was going to be able to cope a lot better than I have, and it's just shaken my foundation of who I thought I was. See, this is what I mean. I kept trying to film a happy, peppy, optimistic video, and it's just not how I feel. Okay, I think I need to wrap this up. It was meant to be just a short little update video of why I've been missing in action for 6 months. I guess the thing that I would like to leave off with is I'm very, very grateful for everybody who watches my videos. I'm really grateful for everybody who's been on Patreon and supporting me, even though I haven't been able to repay them lately. I guess I don't know, things have gone through different stages with this channel. There was like the first stage where I was just trying to figure things out and have a YouTube channel. Then there was the stage once COVID started and it was locked down and I was just working, from the time I woke up until the time I went to bed, like 7 days a week, because there was nothing else to do in life. And that's really when the channel started to grow. And it continued growing until I got in a relationship, and all of a sudden I wasn't putting 24/7 into video editing anymore. And I'm grateful. That was a time period that was not sustainable for a happy life. And then last year was more back on track. But then this year things are different again. And past this, I don't know. So I'm grateful for the time that I have had. And I'm not quitting right now. That's not what I mean, but I know that I can't make promises I can't keep, and I can't walk blindly into things thinking that everything's going to continue as it was and I can take care of a bunch of kids and be pregnant and keep making videos at the same pace that I did in 2020. Like, I'm never going to be back to that point because life is different now. So thank you, and I'm going to start on the vlog videos next, so I guess I'll see you next time.